ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ। अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। In the Taittiriya Upanishad Bhashya, towards the end of the first Valli, that is Shiksha Valli, Shankaracharya has explained the efficacy of Vidya. So he wanted to establish that realization alone leads to liberation, and there cannot be any question of its admixture with karma. So it is the Advaita standpoint that all karma is only preparatory for Vidya. Both Vidya and karma cannot exist or function together. That is the main theory of Advaita. So in that particular discussion, he has answered several questions, and now we have come to the very important point of the discussion. He says, Virodhacha Vidya Karmanoho Samuchaya Anupapattihi. Vidya Karmanoho Samuchaya Anupapattihi. That means the both knowledge and action both cannot function together. That is the problem there. That means a person can be self-realized and at the same time he will be functioning, he will be performing several actions, that means prescribed by the scriptures. So that is not possible, because a self-realized person will be above all the karma, and a person doing all the karma will be preparing himself for moksha. So that is the channel the Advaita has been speaking of. So he says, Vidya karmanoho samuchaya anupapattihi. That means there cannot be any kind of admixture of both realization and karma. Why? The reason is given here, virodhacha, because there is contradiction. What kind of contradiction is there? Shankaracharya explains, Pravilina kartradi karaka vishesha tattva vishayahi vidya tad viparita karaka sadhyena karmana virudhyate. He says, on one side we have vidya or knowledge, on the other side we have karma. So what is the basic difference that Shankaracharya wants to point out here? What kind of contradiction is there between these two? Shankaracharya says, Pravilina kartradi karaka vishesha tantra vishayahi vidya. Knowledge is that kind of science in which all the karaka are pravilina. Karaka means agent, instrument, locus, the point of movement, activity. So all these karaka, karta, karma, kriya, all these karaka are pravilina. That means they are merged there. They are not required. They are not separate. Because in experience, when a person is having that self-experience, there will not be any other karaka. Because whatever is experiencing itself is Atma. There cannot be any other Atma. Therefore, there cannot be karaka. That is the problem there. Karaka, we have to understand this very carefully. Karaka, for example, a boy is going to school. So here a boy, he is subject, going is activity, school is the point of his action. That means he is going to school. So in Sanskrit we say karta, karma, kriya. Similarly, we have other sentences also where the other karaka also are possible. So we have karta, that is agent, karma, that is object, karana, that is instrument, sampradana, that is that to which something is given, apadana, that point of activity from which something has come out, and shashti is no karaka. Then saptami, that is the adhikarana karaka, means the locus or adhara. So thus we have 6 karaka, and all the 6 karakas are related to karma. That is kriyanvaitvam karakam, kriyanvayi karakam. So karaka, the basic definition of karaka means having connection with some activity. And Shankaracharya wants to point out a very important point here, that in vidya, that is knowledge or realization, there is no karaka at all. Vijñātāram areva kena vijaniyat. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad also says very clearly, how can I know the knower? Because the knower knowing himself is not possible. That is self-referent consciousness. That's why, though it is referring to itself, it cannot be both karta and karma. That is the point here. So in vidya, pravilina sarva karaka. That means all the karaka are merged. They don't have any distinction in vidya. Vishesha tattva vishaya. So that is vidya. So that karta and karma are not separate. Just like in Vyakarana also we say, Odanah pachyate swayameva. Odanaha pachyate swayameva. That means the rice cooks itself. This is actually karma kartru prayoga. That means the karma, the object, is mentioned here just like the subject. That means it has got the status of a subject because of its intense activity. Similarly, we have other examples also, like kasthani pachyante. So in such examples, the karta becomes karma sometimes, karma becomes karta sometimes, but such kind of usage is not possible in the case of self, because self realization, realizing self means actually remaining as self. There is no separate knower and known. If I say I am knowing myself, it's not possible, because I am not different from the object. So when subject and object are one, there is no karaka distinction at all. That is the problem here. On the other side, when we compare this with the karma, tad viparita karaka sadhyena karmana virudhyate, and we find regarding karma that it is tad viparita karaka sadhya. That means any kind of karma is necessarily accomplished by some kind of karaka. For example, you take any nitya karma or naimitya karma or any other karma. So in these karma we find that for example nitya karma, aham pratah sandhyam upasishye, pratah sandhyavandanam karishye. So when somebody takes that oath and starts doing sandhyavandana, so the person doing that is different and sandhya vandana is different. Similarly, the other activities, Agnihotra also, a person sits there as Yajamana and says, Aham Agnihotram Karishya. So, in these kinds of activities, we find that karma necessarily depends on karaka. Without karaka, there cannot be any karma. So, that's why we find in the Mimamsa Shastra also, Swarga Kamo Yajeta. So, here, Swarga Kamaha, the two words are there, Swarga and Kama. So, that Kamaha is the person, that is the subject, agent, and Swarga is the object, the desirable thing. So there we have two things. One is subject, other is object. And that particular yaga is the instrument, because yagena bhavayami. So that is the instrument there. And there are several other things also mentioned there. Thus all karaka get involved in the performance of karma, whereas in realization no karaka is involved. That is the basic difference, and this is the contradiction that Shankaracharya wants to point out. Nahi ekam vastu paramarthatah kartradi visheshavat tat shunyancha iti ubhayadha drashtum shakyate. He says ekam vastu, that means one single object cannot be both kartradi visheshavat tat shunyancha. So any single object cannot be both endowed with all the karta, karana, karma, etc. karaka, and tatshunyam cha, devoid of that also. So single thing cannot be that. And when you say that both vidya and karma are necessary for liberation together, that is samuchaya, then it is not possible. Because when you say vidya and karma together are necessary for moksha, then vidya doesn't require karaka, whereas karma requires karaka. There will be contradiction. That's why both cannot be simultaneously cause of liberation. That is the point to be noted. Avashyam hi anyataran mithya syat. Shankaracharya further explains, avashyam anyataran mithya syat. So we will have to accept that between these two, one must be false. One must be totally discarded. What? Vidya or karma? What is mithya here? And he explains, yuktam अन्यतरस्य च मिथ्यात्व प्रसंगे यत् स्वाभाविक अज्ञान विषयस्य द्वैतस्य मिथ्यात्वम. He says, okay, when two things are presented before you and you have to decide which one is mithya, now we apply all our logic and decide which one is mithya here. Swabhavika ajnana vishaya, that is dvaita. Shankaracharya says, all the dvaita means that which has name and form, all that is mithya. That means it has a temporary existence. It is only an appearance, like bubble on the surface of water. So it appears, it projects itself, it takes all the activities on itself, but ultimately it residues. So here also we find that the dvaita means all the manifestation, all the appearance should be mithya. Dvaitasya mithyatvam syat. How? Swabhavika ajnana vishayasya. Because this dvaita world is a matter of natural ignorance. That means we all are born with that spiritual blindness or ignorance, and this world is a matter of that. Because of that particular ignorance only, we are able to see the world, we are able to deal with the world, we are able to make all the transactions with the world. So the entire world is a matter of ignorance, therefore it should be mithya, not the other one. And where is the pramana, valid pramana in deciding the dvaita as mithya? Shankaracharya provides the valid means here. Yatra hi dvaitamiva bhavati. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad also says, Yatra hi dvaitamiva bhavati tatra anyat pashyati. So only in dvaita, that means in the dual world, a person is able to see another thing. When I look out, I see a book, a tree, a table, everything. So I am different from the things outside. They are all dvaita, and I am perceiving the dvaita world. I perceive them as long as there is the spiritual ignorance or absence of that introspection. When I look into myself, when I remain as pure self, there will not be any dvaita. So therefore it is quite logical to suppose that the dvaita or the dual world is only a result of spiritual ignorance. So a person who realizes the true self cannot find any dvaita outside. And that is the problem, that we have layers of realization. One, at the lower level, we find that Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. We have, of course, the awareness of the world, but we try to understand the world as manifestation of Brahma only. And at the higher level, we don't have any dual world at all. And all the senses are stopped, the sense function is stopped. And when we go inside, when there is no external world, when there is only one pointed that consciousness, then that consciousness is Advaita, and everything else is only Advaita. And that's why at that particular point Dvaita is not there. When Dvaita is there, there is no connection with this Advaita Atma. So that is the problem. And here he says that dual world should be mithya, because the scriptures also proclaim so. Mrutyos samrutyum apnoti yaiha naneva pashyati. The same Upanishad says that a person who finds variety in the world, multiplicity in the world, nana iva pashyati. That means a person who sees only multiplicity in the world, difference in the world, saha mrutyos samrutyum apnoti. So he will be taking birth after birth, death after death. That means the transmigratory samsara world is guaranteed for a person who finds Dvaita in the world, and only connecting to himself when one remains as pure self, there is liberation. Otherwise there will be again and again so many journeys into the world, because so will he be conditioning himself. That genetic planning itself is conditioned so, and somewhere it should be stopped, and this Advaita experience alone stops that further functioning, and that particular moment will be liberation for that particular soul. Atha yatra anyat pashyati tad alpam. The Chandogya Upanishad says yatra anyat pashyati tad alpam. That means whatever we see outside, whatever we experience outside through the senses is alpam. Dabhrameva tat. Kenopanishad also says dabhrameva tat. That means it is very minute, it is very insignificant, it is nothing. Because what I find outside, what I see outside myself, that is all only a small portion. That's why in Purusha Sukta also we find there Pado osya vishwa bhutani tripadasya amritam divi. That means the reality, if it is understood in 4 quarters, the 3 quarters amritam, that is immortal, deathless, eternal, and that is heaven. And only 1 quarter of that, the 25 part, only that part is manifested, that part is appearing. So we are baffled by this small creation or little one. But whatever is permeating through this, whatever is vibrating through this, and that is more and more and more, and that is the cosmic reality. And before that, the manifestation is very, very small. That's what the Upanishad Vakya wants to tell us, that it is alpam. And when it is alpam, when it is very small, insignificant, why should we be baffled by that? Why should we be carried away by that? Not understanding the very purpose of our life here. Therefore he says, don't get carried away by Rupa Rasa Gandha Sparsha etc. Because the very purpose of this life is connecting ourselves with the self. Anyo asau anyoham asmi. When a person says aham anyaha, I am different from this, and thus when a person finds difference in the world, anyaha, so he will become a different person, not the self. Udaram antaram kurute athatasya bhayam bhavati. So the Taittiriya Upanishad also will be saying further that ya udaram antaram kurute. Whoever makes a slight difference in the world, whoever finds slightest difference in the world, udaram, that means kinchit, small. Antaram, that is the difference. So whoever finds smallest difference in the world, that the entire world is different, he will be in clashes, he will be in struggle, and tasya bhayam bhavati, he will be necessarily landing himself in fear. That means he will definitely get fear only when he sees difference. Thus difference, I am different from other object, I am different from other person. So this kind of difference causes all fear. And Dvitiyadvai bhayam bhavati, another Upanishad also says us very clearly that the very feeling that there is another person, there is another entity here, that causes all fear. When I am alone and just get the feeling that somebody is there other than myself, I don't know, so that causes all fear. And therefore Advaitam abhayam vindati. So this Advaita, that means finding one single consciousness everywhere and understanding the entire creation as manifestation of one consciousness, that is Advaita, and that is cause of immortality, that is cause of all peace, that is cause of all bliss and beatitude. And therefore it is said Dvitiyadvai bhayam bhavati, or Udaram antaram kurute adhatasya bhayam bhavati ityadi shruti shatebhya. There are hundreds of such scriptural sentences where this particular idea is reiterated, and therefore we have to keep in mind that all the scriptures support that vidya is different from karma. Satyatvam cha ekatvasya. And one more thing is there. All the scriptures, the Upanishadic sentences, very clearly, explicitly mention that Dvaita is mithya. On other hand, they very clearly say that Satyatvam cha ekatvasya, the singularity, everything or unity is Satya, reality. That means all differences are projected and unity alone is reality. So that is propounded. We see the examples. Ekadhaiva anudrashtavyam, ekadha eva anudrashtavyam. So the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad tells us we should develop that kind of vision, that we see ekadha eva, everything as one. Actually, in modern physics also, especially in astrophysics, they have tried to come to one single reality. So in the beginning, they tried to analyze the physical universe in different ways. That's why the early physics that naturally thought of several laws, several principles, several ways of analyzing the universe. But later on, it was revealed to the scientists that all the different laws, physical laws, are not actually different. They are connected. That's why we cannot say whether, just for example, light was regarded as particle one time and wave one time. But after all, the scientists themselves realized that it can exhibit both the features. That means it can be a wave, it can be a particle. Similarly, the electromagnetic force, the nuclear forces, all these were thought differently by the scientists, but later on they came to a particular point where they found a merging point of all these. They called it unified field theory also, because you cannot separate these from another. These are all actually manifestation of one single reality, they realized. And further, they made efforts to come to the everything principle, or the entire universe is single, everything, that Brahman concept. They try to come to that particular one. Of course, efforts are being made and conclusions are yet to be derived, but still such kind of endeavors are made to understand the singularity or the unity of the universe. All the differences are apparent. The modern physics also very clearly tells us, tries to open our eyes to the fact that all these varieties are only appearances, and these are only like the rivulets, like the waves on the surface of waters. So these only appear but disappear into the same thing. Therefore, all the differences are only imagination or creation, or we can say that our inability to understand the universe in its true form. So that causes all these deviations and differences. Now, ekadhaiva anutrashtavyam, when Upanishad says that a person should develop that kind of a vision in which, through which he can see the world in single form, single nature. Ekameva advitiyam brahma. The cosmic reality, the all-pervading reality is ekam eva advitiyam. That is single, alone, secondless. Ekam eva. There is emphasis on that particular word. Ekam eva. It doesn't accept any kind of difference, because this Upanishad is very strong that it says there is only one reality alone. Advitiyam. There is no second one. It is secondless reality. Therefore, you cannot think of any second reality. Brahmaiva idagam sarvam. And another thing is, there is one great energy, great power called Brahma, which is trying to show itself, and that is idam sarvam brahmaiva. All that we perceive is only Brahman. Atmaiva idagum sarvam, and that is none other than the self. Therefore, all this is only the self. Because the self is here, the entire world is appearing. And if it is switched off here, then everything will be switched off. And thus the entire projection of the universe depends on this particular self. And therefore the Buddhists also try to explain the Vijnanavada. That means because Vijnana is there, everything is created. Therefore Vijnana alone is real. And in our Advaita philosophy, we call it as Atma. And this Atma, which is Satchidananda, this is the lone reality, and because of this, there is all the world. Ityadi Shrutibhyaha. And thus, all the hundreds of scriptures try to tell us that single reality is the lone reality. Nacha Sampradhanadikaraka Bheda Adarshane Karmopapadyate. You cannot think of any activity without any karaka. Because when I say, I sit, I am the doer, I am the agent, and that is karta. So karaka is there. Similarly, he is sleeping, he is the karta there. So in all activities, you cannot think of the absence of karaka. There will be definitely the karaka. Thus, all karma necessarily presupposes the presence of karaka. Anyatva darshana apavadascha vidya vishaye sahasrashah shruyate. But in the case of vidya, that means realization, anyatva darshana apavadascha, you cannot think of seeing other thing, because in realization you don't see other thing, and you see other thing, it cannot be realization. That is the thing here. So true realization is in the form of seeing singularity or unity. Ataha virodha vidya karmanoho. And thus Shankaracharya now concludes this particular point. He says, therefore, that means because there is contradiction between these two, because these two go against each other, vidya karmanoho samuchchayaha na shakyaha. You cannot think of any admixture of these two, both realization and karma. Atascha samuchchaya anupapattihi. For this reason also, that admixture is not at all possible. Because when I perform some puja, when I put some image there or idol there and start offering flowers, offering some kumkum, etc. So all this is offered to somebody, and this will last as long as there is that spiritual ignorance there, because I am preparing myself, and once I realize there cannot be other one to be offered. That's why Ramakrishna Paramahamsa also, when he was offered the priesthood in the temple of Dakshineshwara, so in the initial days he used to offer something to the goddess, but the people there observed later on that he used to sit himself and used to offer all the flowers, kumkum, etc. on himself, and he used to enjoy that, because who is there other than the self? And when this self is the force, then it should be worshipped. Therefore everything becomes one, and this self becomes mother or Kali Mata, and that will be the end of life, he thought, and he preached the same. So thus that particular karma will be possible till the rise of self-realization, and after self-realization it will be only a formality, but there will not be some other thing to be worshipped, some other thing to be offered, some other thing to offer, and some other thing to worship. All this karta, karma, karana, karaka, sampradana, apadana, all this will be absent in absolute realization. A person who is in samadhi, who is experiencing that particular avastha, that is state, cannot be performing all this worship, because he is himself. That is the true nature of the self. But once he comes out of that particular state, now he finds himself in the body, then he can think of some other idol, some other goddess, some other thing to be offered. So all this duality comes only after a connection with the senses, and when a person merges into the self, there cannot be any duality at all. Tatra yaduktam samhatabhyam vidya karmabhyam moksha iti anupapannam tat. And whatever was stated earlier, that both vidya and karma samhata. Samhata means united. So somebody said both vidya and karma get united and they lead to moksha, that also is not possible. Vihitatvat karmanam shruti virodha iti chet. Then the other opponent may say, if you don't accept the admixture of karma with jnana, then it amounts to the negation of this particular karma. It amounts to the statement that karma is not at all useful in moksha. Then there are other scriptural sentences which give importance to karma also. Yavat jivam agnihotram juhuyat, etc. Such karma vakya are there. Then there will be contradiction with them. You will be opposing those sentences. Iti chet. Now Shankaracharya explains, Yadi upamurdya kartradhikaraka vishesham atma ekatva vijnanam vidhiyate sarpadi bhranti vijnana upamardaka rajvadi vishaya vijnanavat praptaha karma vidhi shrutinam nirvishayatvat virodha. He says, okay, yadi upamurdya kartradhikaraka vishesham, that means kartradhikaraka vishesham upamurdya, that means brushing aside or making insignificant all the difference in the form of karta, karana, karma, all karaka. Atma ekatva vijnanam vidhiyate. If all the scriptural sentences enjoin or propound the realization of one single soul, sarpadi bhranti vijnana upamardaka rajvadi vishaya vijnanavat, just as the realization of a rope at the time when a snake is seen on a rope, the realization is in the form of it is a rope. Then the ignorance in the form of snake, etc. is totally gone. It is discarded. So Atma Ekatva Vijnana, when a person realizes the singularity of soul, then all the karta, karma, karana, karaka, person doing to somebody, person receiving the action, person offering that, everything, all the karaka difference will be lost. So only in this particular wakeful life there is all difference. So now he wants to say that just as on the rise of the knowledge of snake, rope, the ignorance in the form of snake is gone, because we have realized that it is rope, not snake. Then the earlier experience in the form of snake is gone. Similarly, when one realizes the self, then the world in the form of various karaka, karta, karana, karma, karaka, etc., that is lost. Because being in the body, I am not doing anything. Even when the other person is doing something also, I am not receiving that. So in this way, there is no karta, there is no karma, there is no karana. It is only the game of, the play of energy. Energy is functioning in this way. That energy flowing in that body is functioning in that way. The energy flowing in this body is functioning in this way. And this is only a temporary function. And on that particular realization, there will not be any karta, karma, karana, sampradana, apadana, adhikarana, etc. And all the differences of karaka will just diminish. And here he says, praptaha karma vidhi shrutinam nirvishayatvat virodha. Then, if you say that self-realization gives no importance to all karmaka, then there will be definite contradiction with the scriptures which try to enjoin some karma. Karma pratibadaka shrutibihi virodha. Vihitani cha karmani. And it is very evident that all the karma are prescribed by the Veda. The Vedic Vakya themselves are enjoining different types of karma for us. Swarga kamo yejeta, pashu kamo yejeta, agnihotrena juhiyat, yavat jivam agnihotram juhiyat. There are hundreds of such sentences in the Veda which propel us to do some karma. So, how can you say that karma is not useful in moksha? That is the problem here. Sacha virodho na yuktaha. And now that kind of contradiction or going against the scriptural sentence is not good. And therefore, we have to combine karma with vidya so that we can find a place for karma with the vidya also. So when you say vidya is necessary for moksha, we attach karma, and when both karma and vidya are taken, our purpose is served and there will not be any contradiction with the scriptures also. Thus, eka kriya dvyarthakari, amrascha siktaha, pitarascha prinitaha. That's what this Shastra says, that only single action is beneficial in both ways. A person who was performing some tarpana to his forefathers, offering that means he was offering some water to his forefathers. He came out, and at the bottom of the big mango tree at his residence, he offered the water at the foot of the tree itself. Now what happened? He has watered the plant, and he had offered water to his forefathers also. Thus, single action can be useful in two ways. Here also, if we accept the admixture of karma with vidya, that can serve our purpose, and there will not be contradiction with the scriptures. Pramanatvat shrutinam, because you cannot say that the scripture cannot be taken into consideration, because scriptures are definitely the authority. Therefore, we have to follow the Shruti. Shruti prescribes karma. Therefore, we have to understand the efficacy of karma in moksha, and the only way is to mix this karma with vidya so that both can be efficient in bringing about moksha. That is one possibility. Thus says the opponent. Iti chet na. But Shankaracharya explains to them, this is not possible. That means you have not properly understood the idea here. Purushartha upadesha paratvat shrutinam. Now you understand, when the scriptures are talking about the efficacy of karma, you understand that the Shruti, the scriptures, are aimed at the benefit of the person, soul. Purushartha paratvat shrutinam. That means all the scriptures are meant for our good, for our ultimate good, and that's why they say something whichever is good for us. Vidyopadesha para tavat shrutihi samsarat purusho mokshayitavya iti samsara hetoh avidyayah vidyaya nivrittihi kartavya iti vidya prakashakatvena pravritta iti navirodha. So when there is the Shruti sentence, scriptural sentence, which says vidyopadesha para, which gives the instruction of realization, like atmava are drashtavyaha, atmeti vijijñāsasva, etc. So these are the sentences in which realization is stressed upon. What do that kind of sentences do? Samsarat purusho mokshayitavyaha iti. Their sole objective is to release the person from this kind of migratory world. That means, out of compassion, the Veda, the scriptures, think of this, that if the person does not get realization, he will be moving along with the cycle of transmigratory love. That means he will be repeatedly getting life after life, and thus he will be coming back into the world, experiencing all the grief, gloom. So therefore it is better that he should be separated, he should be relieved of the pain of this world. And even when he comes into the world also, if he is properly equipped, if he is properly endowed with that particular realization, then he will not experience any grief at all. Because grievance is only to that person who finds limitations. And when a person rises above all the limitations, there will not be any grief. And therefore the scriptures also try to tell him that you adopt vidya, that is true knowledge, and you will be rid of all these grievances. Avidyayaha vidyaya nivrittihi kartavya. That means the spiritual ignorance should be removed with the help of spiritual realization. Iti vidya prakashakatvena pravritta. Thus all the scriptural sentences emphasizing on the importance of the vidya, they actually function in this way, that vidya is to remove avidya, so that the particular soul will get the purushartha. The param purushartha is liberation here. Therefore there will not be any contradiction, and thus vidya is also within the jurisdiction of Shruti, and vidya is definitely the final objective of all Shruti. There cannot be any contradiction of vidya with Shruti, so that Shruti virodha is automatically removed. Evamapi कर्त्राधिकारक सद्भाव प्रतिपादन परम शास्त्रम विरुध्यते eva. Now the opponent does not sit still. He says now, even then, even if you say that Vidya is propounded in the scripture and therefore Vidya is very important, there will not be any contradiction of Vidya with the scriptures, all that. But still, there is contradiction because there are other sentences which enjoin some karma and thus which support the entire cycle of karaka. Karta, karma, karana, karaka. So all these karaka are propounded in those sentences. Therefore, those will go against the Vidya sentences. Shankaracharya explains, no, that is also not correct. Yatha praptameva karakastitvam upadeya upatta durita kshayartham karmani vidadhat shastram mumukshunam phalarthinancha phalasadhanam na karaka astitve vyapriyate. Now, yatha praptameva karaka astitvam upadaya, that means considering the presence of karaka in the dual world as it is, the Shastra proceeds. Now this is very important point, that Shastra does not altogether deny the dual world, because the dual world is there, a matter of experience. So how can it discard it altogether? The Shastra doesn't do that. It very intelligently takes resort to the world and karaka, and of course dual world is a matter of karaka. So we find here everything is karta, everything is karma, everything is karana, because nothing is certain here. The karaka nature is not certain. When I try to guess the presence of fire with the help of smoke, I say that smoke is the reason and that vanni or fire is the sadhya. But sometimes it so happens that I have to guess the presence of smoke. Then smoke will be sadhya, another thing will be hetu or reason there. Similarly, Rama is son of Dasharatha. So he is son. It is in relation with Dasharatha. But at the same time, when Lavakusha are there, Rama is father also. Thus, Rama is a human being. He is neither father nor son. It is only in relation with others that his status is decided. Similarly, everything in the world is neither karta nor karma nor karana. It is only in relation with other thing that we say it is karta. When a person is preparing a pot maker, so we call him, he is the karta. But when he is understood with reference to his father, then he is kriya, he is the phala of karma, or we can say he is the karma. So this way everything changes. When I speak, I am karta. When I hear, I am not karta. When somebody looks at me, I am karma. So everything is intermixed and nothing is fixed, especially with regard to the karaka. So the karaka astitvam upadaya. So taking resort to the existing karaka system only in the dual world, the Shastra upatta duritakshayartham karmani vidadhat. So now, okay, for time being, we accept that there is dual world, therefore in the dual world there are all karaka, okay. Now in this dual world, when all karaka are possible, then the Shastra has to come for rescuing the person. And now it says, okay, you are experiencing grief because you are finding Dvaita, and in Dvaita there is all karaka, and because of that particular karaka you are getting grief, you are getting sad, and now I have to relieve you from these clutches of this grief. And thus thinking, the Shastra Vividha Karmani Vidadhat, it enjoins, it propounds different kinds of karma for that kind of a person, not for all. Because medicine is for such person who has got some disease. For a healthy person, no medicine is required. Similarly, all karma in the form of medicine is required for a person who has the disease called ignorance. And after going beyond that, when he has become very spiritually healthy, then no medicine in the form of karma is required. That is the idea here. And now the Shastra also upatta durita kshayartham, only to destroy the accumulated sin, Accumulated in the sense, throughout many births, the person must have committed several sins, and all the sins are accumulated in himself in the form of impressions, and those impressions project the world, and because of those impressions he will be running after the world, and thus he will be doing several things further, and because of those things he will be getting the result of them, and thus further impressions are created, and thus a vicious circle is created, that he will be goaded by the impressions, and because of that he will perform something outside, and because of that again some impressions are created, and thus he will be rolling down towards death, and only to destroy this particular impression that I am not separate, I am part of the universe, this is the cosmic reality, only it is a game, it is a play. So only to arouse this kind of realization, the Shruti, entire Shruti functions, and when this particular realization takes place, then all the Karaka is gone. Until that, all Karaka is there, therefore all Karma is prescribed. And thus the Shruti, Mumukshunam Phalarthinancha Phalasadhanam Na Karaka Astitve Vyapriyate. So the Shastra tells him, okay, you are in the problem, you are worrying, and for you this is the medicine, thus it prescribes a karma. Now we take for example Swarga Kamo Yejeta. It says if you want Swarga, you perform this yajna. Now we understand here yajna is prescribed definitely by the scripture, but for whom? For a person who desires to get Swarga. That means a person who has some idea of Swarga and who longs for that, who aspires for Swarga. So for that purpose, okay, you want that ultimate happiness, then you perform yajna. So that way, whoever has some desire is entitled to perform that particular karma. Thus, a person desiring lot of prosperity, lot of wealth, lot of health, and very good body, etc., they are supposed to perform different scriptural activities. Thus, the Shruti prescribes these karma for those people who have some desire to perform, phalarthi. That means who want some fruit to gain. Mumukshunamcha. And for those people who want to relieve themselves, get rid of all the worldly grief, for them the scriptures propound different kinds of activities. Upachita durita pratibandhasya hi, and one upachita durita pradvamsa. Once the accumulated sin is destroyed, there is no base to hold that particular sin, then vidyotpattihi nav kalpate. And then upachita durita pratibandhasya vidyotpattir nav kalpate. If that particular sin is destroyed, then there is vidya. Upachita durita pratibandha. That means if that particular hindrance in the form of sin is accumulated here, that I have committed some sin and I get hindrance or impediment here, with this vidyotpattihi navakalpate, there cannot be realization, there cannot be knowledge. Thus both cannot go together. Tatkshayecha, and once that particular sin is destroyed, vidyotpattihi syat, there can be proper realization. Tatascha avidya nivrittihi. So actually it is not sequential. We must understand here that first there is sin, second there is the destruction of sin, third there is rise of knowledge, then there is moksha. That kind of a sequence is not at all there, because it is all within, and the moment realization has taken place, everything else is gone. That's why we cannot understand these things step by step. Atyantikaha samsara uparamaha. That means when a person realizes the energy flowing in the body as the energy permeating throughout the entire universe, the Brahman, the power, the energy, and then samsara uparamaha, he will not have rebirths. Why? Because that particular impression in the form of mind, manas, antahkarana, that is lost, and therefore he since there is no base of all these impressions as mind, there is no rebirth at all, because that particular Sukshma Sharira, that's what Vedanta Sara also says, Saptadasha Avayavatmakam Linga Shariram Sukshma Shariram Ityuchyate Etat Koshatraya Militam Sat Sukshma Shariram Ityuchyate, etc. So all the three together, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Manomaya, Pranamaya, all these kosha coming together form the Sukshma Sharira, that is the Antahkarana. And when a person dies, that only leaves, and according to the impressions accumulated throughout his lifetime, that Antahkarana will take another body, and taking another body is birth for this particular Antahkarana. So therefore it is actually birth after birth to the Antahkarana, not to the soul. And now the Advaita has been trying to point towards this Atma, that this Atma doesn't have any rebirth, and whatever has rebirth, it is only Antahkarana, and thus realization of the self in its pure form will be the final cause of realization or liberation. Apicha Anatma Darshinaha Anatma Vishayaha Kamaha. Now we understand here, Anatma Darshinaha Anatma Vishayaha Kamaha. Kamaha, desire. In our lifetime we desire for so many things. We desire for good result, we desire for good settlement, we desire for good family, we desire for good vehicle, we desire for several things, and every moment we will be desiring for something, and this desire is because of Anatma, that means Atma Ajnana, because it is due to the ignorance of true self, there is the desire. And Anatma Vishayaha, desiring for what? Again, a person is desirous of something that is also Anatma. Thus, the one desiring is non-self, and the thing desired is also non-self. Thus, Anatma Vishayaha Kamaha, Anatma Darshinaha Kamaha. And a person desiring something is also Anatma Darshi. He is not Atma Darshi. He is not a realized soul. A person truly realized, like Ramana Maharshi, cannot aspire for anything, cannot long for anything, cannot expect anything from anybody. Because now we compare this with modern science. Modern science we find very rich ashrama, all AC facilities, and so much of property, rich, very rich, wealthy devotees, all vehicles, and very rich food, all that. We find total opulence, total material prosperity with all Swamijis only. And if we compare these with Ramana Maharshi or Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, we understand that those lived true life of a Siddha Purusha. They were real Jivan Mukta, they were real Jnani, and in their life they did not long for anything. They lived a natural life. Ramana Maharshi lived on the top of the mountain Arunachalam, and he never tried to cover anything. Throughout his life he wore only a loin cloth, and apart from that he did not own anything. And whatever ashrama was built for him, it was only because of the pressure from the devotees that such thing was built for him, but otherwise he never longed for anything. And this is true self-realization, and he is true Atmadarshi, and all the other are Anatmadarshi. They are not Atmadarshi. Because I am unable to look at myself, because I am unable to realize the self, because I am unable to get the experience of self, I have all the desires, and I desire for the material world, outside world. I will be expecting something from the dust, from the earth. I want to construct a big building. I want to live in that. I want to say that it is mine. This is Mamakara. Similarly, from this material only, I create something called car, and I say this car is mine, and I want some more, etc. So all this is because of my ignorance and because of my attachment to the material outside. And this material will be here only. In between I have come here, I will leave the world, but this world will continue. All the property belongs to this earth only, and it will be on this earth only, and several souls will be coming into the world, will be attaching themselves to this same property, and will be leaving the world, coming back, leaving the world, coming back, and thus several lakhs of birth they will take if they have that particular attachment. And now here he says, Kamayamanascha karoti karmani. A person who desires something will naturally perform the rituals, all that. Because I want peace, I perform something. I want wealth, I perform something. I want to get rid of all grief, I do something. Thus, people around go to temples, people around do all the dharmic karma, people around do everything. Not for others, it is actually for their own sake, that they want peace, they want happiness, they want name, they want fame, and they want several other things, like they are afraid of some shani, they are afraid of several other things, and to get rid of that they perform such karma. And thus karma are prescribed for kamayamanaha, for a person who has some desire. Tataha tat phala upabhogaya. And when naturally he performs karma, he has to enjoy the fruit of that. For that, shariradi upadana lakshanaha samsaraha. Again he has to take a body, and that is after all the samsara. That means the person leaving a body but being endowed with those desires, taking another body, is the samsara. That is the cycle of life and death. Tat व्यतिरेकेण आत्मैकत्वदर्शिनः विषयाभावात् काम अनुत्पत्तिः. And on the contrary, when we compare with the realized soul has no other desire. Therefore, there is no karma. Therefore, there is no other object to be aspired for, longed for. There is no other object at all. Now, Atmanicha Ananyatvat Kamanutpattau Swatmani Avasthanam. So, since there is only one self and nothing else outside, Kama Anutpattau, there is no desire. And in the absence of any desire, when a person remains in his pure form, Swarupa Avasthiti, that is mokshaha, that is liberation. Iti atopi vidya karmanor virodhaha. And because of this particular reason also, there is absolute contradiction between knowledge, that is realization, and karma. Because karma is anatma vishayaka and vidya is atma vishayaka. There is absolute difference between the two, and therefore we cannot accept any kind of adherence, or we cannot accept any kind of admixture of both vidya and karma. And not only this, virodhadevacha, because there is such kind of contradiction, vidya moksham prati na karmani apekshate. That's what we have been trying to tell you, that vidya, that is realization, does never expect any support of karma. Why? Because there is contradiction. Realization does not require karma. Other people may say, no, karma is required. Karma support should be there so that your realization will give final fruit. But Shankaracharya wants to emphatically say here that true realization does not require any karma. But after all, for the rise of that kind of self-realization, karma is of course required. That means at the lower level, all karma should be performed so that there will be mental purity, and from that mental purity only a person can rise himself to get that self-realization, and that is the ultimate level of spiritual life, and then he is lost for the world. He is realized soul. Thus, only at the bottom level the karma is required, not at the upper level. After reaching that particular level of self-realization, karma is insignificant, karma is not there. Swatmalabhetu purvopachita pratibandha apanaya dvarena vidya hetutvam pratipadyante karmani nityani. Of course, nityani karmani. That means there are nitya karma. That means they are to be performed daily without any adherence to the fruit of those karma. The nitya karma are like sandhya vandana, agnihotra, all that. So these nitya karma, vidya hetutvam pratipadyante, they of course become a cause of vidya, or that means they support vidya, but not moksha. They are not moksha hetu, they are only vidya hetu. How? Purvopachita pratibandha apanayana dvarena. That means the karma performed can only remove the hindrance in the form of the accumulated sin. You perform karma, you get mental purity, that means your accumulated sin is removed, and when your mind is pure, you can get Atmajnana. So this is the way. You cannot entirely discard the importance of this karma. Thus karma are vidya hetu, not moksha hetu. Atayeva asmin prakarane upanyasthani karmani iti avochama. That's why Shankaracharya says, in the previous chapter also we have made it very clear that the karma is mentioned in this particular section with this objective, that the karma is not at all unimportant, they're important, but for the sake of vidya, and vidya is for the sake of moksha. Thus there is a sequence. And evamcha avirodha karma vidhi shrutinam. Thus we don't find any clash between the scriptural sentences propounding karma and those propounding vidya, because they are meant for different kinds of people of different temperaments or spiritual qualification, and according to their qualification they will be given that particular upaya there. That means some people have to perform karma, some people are above that, they directly go for vidya. Thus depending on the eligibility only, that particular one is prescribed. This is just like prescribing a medicine. Same doctor will prescribe a small medicine for somebody and a very severe medicine for other person. It depends on the severity of the disease. For headache, he may prescribe a one single tablet, but for brain tumor he may not give the same medicine. For that another thing is prescribed. Similarly here, depending on the intensity of impressions in the soul, that particular Shruti Vakya gives karma for a person who is less qualified in spiritual life, and vidya for a highly qualified person. Thus there is no contradiction at all. Thus ataha kevalaya eva vidyayaha param shreyaha iti siddham. And now it is finally established from this discussion that param shreyaha, the absolute good for the soul, is only from realization, and that realization should be of the self as the Brahman. That means the energy flowing in this is not different from the energy that is pervading throughout the universe, and that kind of awareness and realization is the cause of final fruit in the form of liberation, and that person is already realized and therefore he is always liberated. And that is the final theory of Advaita. That's what Shankaracharya has explained very clearly here. And with this we come to the end of one particular small topic, and in our next class we'll continue with the rest of the Bhashya. Shanti Shanti Shanti.